All right, family, this your boy, the Minister, the Reverend J. Whitfield Inspires, Jonathan R. Whitfield, and I'm here today in studio. My great friend, the lovely Corin Graham. Say hey to the people.
Hello, beautiful people. I'm so happy to see you. I haven't seen you in so long.
Yes, it's been a long time. We're gonna get up.
I'm very excited for this.
Yes, indeed. So y'all know on my channel we discuss a lot of relationship topics, particularly Virgo men and things like that. And from the male perspective, so today, we just want to talk about a few things regarding relationships. And so Corin, I've been watching her channel and her Instagram and things like that, and she be putting out some heat about relationships. So today we're gonna talk about relationships, sex. You know what I'm saying? We Christian people, you know what I'm saying, but we ain't perfect. So we want to get some of this stuff in here, and I appreciate her perspective about empowerment and holding within and just what men think, what women think. So I hit her up, I'm like, yo, we got to talk about this because this is some real stuff. So first, tell the people a little about yourself, some of the stuff that you do and what inspires you to start talking about these topics, because it ain't popular.
It's okay. It's not. It's about to get big though.
So they want to bring you at the stage.
Existence. Okay. So hello, beautiful people. My name is Corinne, and I particularly help women embrace a life of joy through sex and self-love, and in that order. Okay. In that order, and I feel like it's really hard for women not to have joy if they don't have self-love and if they don't have a really, really good sex life.
Okay.
Yeah.
So talk about it. I want to, with that, I was looking at your page and you was talking about like something like harnessing your sexual power, not giving it away.
Yes.
Even if you have to let some things go, let some guys go.
Right.
And things like that. So what has inspired you to do that? What has the journey been like? Because that's a tough thing. And I hit you up and I was telling you that, some of the things you're saying is true. Because one thing you said, if I can remember correctly, you was like, you're gonna get some rejection from men, but men will still respect you anyway. If they really like you, they respect you anyway. And you said that you really haven't gotten too much negativity back. Yeah. You really let them know what it was. Talk about that.
Yeah, okay. I love that you said that. I'm gonna give you a crazy example at the end. So this is more God-led. Hey mama, I was having phenomenal sex. Okay. A lot of women were not.
Yeah.
70% of women are not satisfied in the bedroom. And I know a lot of friends under 30 who are like, I just want to get it over with. Like, I don't even want to participate. Like, I only do it because that's what he wants to do, whatever. And I was like, this is terrible. I can't relate to any of these things because I'm a very sexual person. And so this is how I knew this was God-led, because I love sex. Like, sex is so much fun. Sex is so much fun. Like, I'm not gonna get too deep because you said it's Christian, so I try very hard to scale back. But that's how I knew this was God-led. So every time I would have sex, even though it will be incredible and it will be with people who I care about, I highly recommend, even if you don't stop having sex, because I'm gonna try to get you to stop having sex in this podcast, that you at least have sex with men who bare minimum honor and respect you. And I was doing that. And still something fell off. And Holy Spirit was like, you're not supposed to be doing this. And I was like, all right, but you feel me? He just texted me, so we about to go over this way. And then I just eventually was like, felt so convicted. And then I just stopped. And then that's when God started bringing my book to me. And then that's when God started bringing awareness to everything that was going on. And God spoke to me about cheaters. And I don't watch cheaters. But God was like, turn cheaters on. And I've seen women run up and down parking lots, slash tires, all this kind of stuff. And I was like, oh my gosh. And then God was like, look up the statistics. Black women lead in every single STD. You can name me one. You can name me a random STD, and Black women lead in it.
I didn't know that.
In every single one. We lead in single-parent households, which leads to poverty, which feeds the school-to-prison pipeline, which leads to inequities and more racial disparities that we could start to get a handle on if we chose better with the man that we were procreating with and the standards that we had for them in order to get access into the sexual realm. Because I don't just think that men are having sex with us. I think that they are having us and we are the owners of the sexual realm. Mm-hmm. So when I saw that, I was like, I can't not say anything, right? Right? I can't not say anything. I can't continue to participate in this culture and say Black Lives Matter and not tell the women who are having the Black children that you have to choose better, right? That we can't keep choosing men who don't defend the community. That we can't keep telling men, you get to have my body and my soul and my womb and I'll have children for you and you can leave me whenever. Like we cannot keep that going. So it was the Holy Spirit first, and then when God showed me the Carfax and the receipts, I was like, okay, like I really need to speak up about this. So that is how that happened. And that's how I've been able to sustain it, because I don't just feel like it's my sex life anymore. I feel like people are invested in my in my sex life now, and that I get to minister to people not through my words, but through my life. And so to go back to your question of how men treat me great. I love men. I adore men. Like I can't resonate with women who are like, men are trash and men are dogs. I know where that comes from. Yeah. But I can't resonate with that. Like even when I was in the car and you text me like, hey, make sure you don't miss this. And like even the spot you booked this, I did none of these things. Like I love men. I love the way that men show up for me in my life. So I also think that in my choices, men respect me more because I respect myself more. That's and I bring them an energy of, I don't bring them an energy of lack. And the men I typically deal with don't operate in lack. And so they recognize that and they're like, what?
No, that's real. You know, I think that's powerful because, like again, you said something like that in one of your videos. That's when I hit you up. I was telling you that men do that when women tell them that. Now you will get some men who they're not going to want to deal with you, right? But that's okay because that's what you don't want that anyway.
Don't want it,
you know. So if you're a lady, he's like, you know what, I want to wait till marriage or whatever your preference is, you want to do your guideline for yourself, and you share that with a guy that you like, he likes you. You know, he gonna either accept it or reject it, and if you reject it, that's okay because that means y'all going on two different paths. You know, but I said this. A lot of times, guys will be like, if the guy really, really likes a chick, and sometimes she'll say that, he'll be like, he'll talk to his boys. He'll like, you know what, man, I like her a lot. I don't even want to have sex with her because I don't want to mess nothing up. You know, in I say all guys have said this at some point or another, and I think that's really deep because deep down inside, I think everybody knows what can go wrong with sex and stuff like that, and if it's not properly done and things like that. But when he really likes the chick, he'll say that sometimes. You know, cause we all have said. I got homeboys who said it, and you're like, man, I don't want to mess nothing up. Man, I like this girl, man. I want to, you know, it ain't about that. That means that he's starting to look at her essence, right? You know what I'm saying? Who she is, and think who she is as a woman. Because you know, we see women look good. You know what I'm saying?
And we do, and we do. You know? It takes a great deal of discipline to, because I look at women, I'm like, oh my God, like what? Why do you look that good?
Yeah, man. And so sometimes the things can feed into the primal nature of a man. You know, and he have to pull himself back. So a lot of times, I tell men this all the time. A man's greatest challenge is self-discipline.
Ooh, say it.
I'm telling you, a man's greatest challenge is self-discipline in all areas of life, from a boyhood to a manhood. Because if we can conquer self, you know, we can conquer the world. I truly believe that, because I see myself in areas where I was weak and I had self-discipline, you know, and I did things, you know what I'm saying? I was just a better person. Right. And the time I wasn't self-disciplined, I just failed. Right. You know, and what's the girl, the young lady, I'm gonna call her girl, who dated the pastor, beautiful young lady.
Megan Good.
Megan Good. Yes. What's the word name? Well, her ex-husband name?
Devon Franklin.
Devon Franklin. Yes, he wrote a book. I forgot the name of the book. But anyway, he was at Clark Atlanta a few years ago, right? And I went to see him, and his book was something about the taming the dog within or something like that. Yeah. Yeah, and it was a lot of ladies that showed up. I know what you're talking about. Yeah, it was a lot of ladies that showed up, but it was a lot of men that showed up too. It was overwhelmingly women, but it was a lot of guys in there. And it wasn't just like, okay.
Yeah.
And basically the premise of it, he telling men to how to tame the dog within, basically how to discipline yourself.
Right.
Because as guys, you see women, you just want to let loose. You just want to, the dog. You know, you got to tame the dog within. You just want to, that's why sometimes you'll see guys say crazy stuff to women, like catcalling or something like that. It's wilding. They haven't tamed the dog within. You know, if women really knew what guys thought, y'all be like, oh, that was disgusting. Who made y'all? You know, that's why guys have to like, look, do not say everything you think, because you're gonna scare somebody. You know, but it really is important for guys to have that self-discipline. You have to practice it. You have to practice from a young boy. You know, and you know, I was a drum major on the band. You know what I'm saying? So that's where I learned a lot of my discipline, just of self in general. You know, because I was something I didn't know. Yeah. Also, I want you to talk about, what if it's some ladies out there that may be struggling with the same thing you're talking about, right? I did a girl one time that she felt like if you didn't have sex with her, you didn't love her, you know. And I never encountered at that point. I never encountered a woman like that.
My heart.
You know, I just grew up a little different. You know what I'm saying? You know, PK and stuff like that. Right. So I view women a certain way,
right?
You know, and that was counter to what I understood. And I thought she was playing, but she was serious.
Wow.
You know, we had so many struggles.
Wow. You
know, and so you a lady, talk about that to the ladies who feel like, you know, they gotta have sex with the guy in order to love them, to feel love, not necessarily pleasure,
right?
But if I don't do this to him, he's not gonna love me.
Right. Ooh,
I don't understand that as a man. I get it.
Ooh, okay.
But so help them from one, give us that perspective. What does that feels like, and then, you know, help somebody who may be struggling.
Maybe when I was a teenager, I felt a little bit of that. I can't say that I did. And disclaimer, everybody who has a father, right, or everybody who has a dad doesn't have a father. So I want to be clear about that. I had a great father, right, when I was growing up. So great father to young girls. So my dad took us on dates. My dad told us we were beautiful. He put us in elevated environments. He made sure we were safe and all that kind of stuff. And that's what he protected and provided for his family. So that's what I saw as love. And so I wasn't out there looking for love. And many women are out looking for love because they didn't have a love of a father, because it wasn't that validation. Yeah. So when some people are like, okay, well, Corinne, I didn't grow up with a father. You have a heavenly father, right? I also got that love from God. And if you didn't have an earthly father, it's hard to imagine having a heavenly father, because you've never even like tangibly had that. But I would have to say most times that is the root of where it comes from with women, is the daddy issues. And so I try to seek myself in somebody else, or fill that void from somebody else. And it's not possible. And so one of my taglines that I love to use is, sex is your superpower. And with every superpower, every superhero has a limitation, right? That's Superman has kryptonite.
That's good.
The Black Panther needs the purple herb, or he's not the Black Panther. Rest in peace, okay? Yeah. Right? Like, or he's not the Black Panther. And so women, sex is our superpower. But when we go out of certain parameters, we lose that power and we give it away. So that's that. I think that the foundation of that, 90% of the time, it is a father wasn't in the home, or it's a traumatic childhood experience. There are so many resources out there. I know BetterHelp is one. I know Tim Ross on his podcast, he always elevates one. I don't know what it's called, but for every podcast, Tim Ross does that. Shout out to Tim Ross and BetterHelp. Sponsor if you want to. That's what that is. So go see a therapist if it's the trauma in the therapy. I don't do trauma because that's not my specialty. I'm not trained in that. Yeah. So that is that piece of it. To come out of that, let's say it's not trauma, right? And it's just like, maybe, I don't know, maybe just nobody ever told me I was powerful as a woman who was sexual. Like, I talk about the steps of loving yourself, honoring yourself, and honestly being so sexy, you don't need a man. Like,
yeah, okay.
And when I say that, not you don't need a man.
I don't need a man.
Right. I hate that narrative.
Yeah, me too.
But as in, like, in order to feel sexual and feel pleasure, you don't need a man, right? He should look at you, feel your essence, and be like, that is so sexy, because you're already in your pleasure. And he gets to join, right? He's not really bringing you anything new. Like, he just gets to join.
Yeah, hey, that's real. Now that's some powerful stuff, man. You know, because I like I said, I do feel that from what I'm seeing in relationships and in the community, and point of notes, everybody, we're not experts or relationship gurus. You know, we're just bringing our perspective and our experience to the table. Things that we learn, things that we've seen. I say this all the time on my channel. I like to share things I've seen from a man perspective. Mm-hmm. Y'all know I always share a lot of my failures, a lot of my successes, but I share a lot of my failures too, so people can understand, like, yo, it's real life. A lot of times people walk with me. I just put something on my channel recently about depression. We'll get into all that.
Yeah. Personally.
But back to that.
I saw that sermon.
Yes.
It was good.
Oh, thank you.
You're welcome.
I was going in. I was like, you know what I'm saying? But it's real. Harnessing your power. I do think some of those issues do come from that. It's kind of hard. Like, a lot of times people don't heal properly.
Right.
You know, men and women. You know, I've been in relationships where I wasn't healed properly. Mm-hmm. You know, and I ruined the relationship. Yeah. And I also been in a relationship with the woman wasn't healed properly, and she ruined the relationship. And from what I'm seeing, just out in kind of in the community and society right now, it's a lot of people going from relationship to relationship not being healed. Right. And I think I just look at social media. You could see they could put a post up about, just say this person, that person, and they had an issue in their relationship. Right. The comments is full of like trauma. Yeah. You know, ridiculousness. And I'm like, yo, this can't be what we think and feel. You know. But it is. It's sad to me, because I'm like, yo, we got a long way to go. You know, and I just want to see relationships healed. Right. You know, I want to see black men and black women together. Period. You know, for real. But yeah, you know, the part about you know, a woman looking at that, I do think that's important, because man will join in that. He will see that. Yeah. He will recognize that.
But that's when people try to fight me on that, I say, okay, let's talk about it. Who goes to the strip club? Who has strip clubs catered to them? Man. Right. Back in the day, who went to the brothels? Man. Yeah. When you see a commercial trying to sell a product, typically who's selling the product? Who's making the product sexy?
The woman making it sexy.
Yes, because we are the domain of sex. I've never thought about paying a man for sex. I've never thought about how to get a man to have sex with me. Like, I could go out and I could smile really pretty and bat my eyes, and I could be in somebody's bed tonight. Right. in an hour. Somebody I would never. Don't recommend it. A random man bed tonight, right? But how a man has to, and that's why men, anytime you have to lie and manipulate in order to get something, you're not in possession of it. Mm. A lot of men lie and manipulate for sex, right? Women don't do that. We don't have to lie and manipulate because we are sex. We don't have to lie and manipulate for something that we already possess. So when people try to go toe-to-toe me with it, I'm like, okay, but the proof is in the pudding.
Yeah, it's an interesting topic, man, because I think for what I'm seeing, we just as a community, we're not really seeing the power and understanding the power of sex and stuff like that on a personal level. So all the stuff you be talking about, you know, and just some of the ramifications of it and things like that. And it's kind of like a lot of wild stuff just happening. Yeah. You know, and the part I've been looking at is just trauma and stuff like that. Like I said, when somebody feel like they have to have sex with somebody for them to love them or to feel love, I think that's pretty deep, because, you know, you have the power, but you are more than that, you know. And that just threw me off during that time. I was like, I just did not understand. It took me a long time to really get it, because, you know, I really truly trying to love her in the right way. Yeah. But it was a clash. She's like, I don't want that. You know, I mean, she wanted it, but, you know. Right. It was almost like.
Couldn't receive it.
Yeah, she couldn't receive it. It was almost like somebody who accustomed to getting, like, domestic violence. Like, if he not hitting me, he don't love me, or whatever the case may be. Or I know he loves me because he hit me, get mad, and that type of thing. So it's a lot of stuff to do with that.
I do want to real quickly speak about community, and when you said self-discipline. So I knew these things, like, knew them, but then I heard them, and then this woman named Mina Ephron on YouTube made so much sense. So she's Indian and Pakistani. So they have a totally different culture, right?
They do.
And so she just put some words to everything I was feeling. So, and knew to be true. So she was saying in her culture, you cannot have a woman unless you are stable and not just financially. Like if you have a stable record in the community, if you are financially stable, if you are religiously sound, like you have to be stable or you literally cannot get a woman. And they don't shame men who aren't there yet. They just say, okay, well, you're not ready for marriage, right? You're not ready to have a family and to take on that responsibility.
Come on, steps.
Because it's a responsibility. So they don't shame men and say, well, you ain't got a bag and you can't have no family. They just say, okay, well, keep working. And then, I don't know, maybe you can get our younger daughter because our older daughter about to get married.
And she already gone.
Right. All right now.
She's spoken for, you know what I'm saying?
You got to try again.
Like working at, in a store, like maybe a couple of years. You move up the fries and the burgers.
you keep showing up on time. But that's the standard in that community. That's the standard. And she was saying, now every community has their thing. So I'm not saying that the Indian Pakistani community is absolutely 100% perfect. But as far as that community family aspect, they got that on lock.
Yeah, I missed that. We got to get back to that.
They got that on lock.
They do. We got to be like that, man. We got to get back to that, man. I missed that.
But we have to have standards.
Standards.
And the men know, if I want to be with a woman, this is what I have to provide. This is how I have to come. These are the standards. And when there are no standards, we get what we have, right? Which is chaos. Honestly.
It's a lot of chaos, man.
It's chaos.
I'm seeing that too, because like I said, I love relationship topics, and I love love, man. And I just hate what I'm seeing, and I agree with you on the standards, because what I'm seeing, it's a constant fight between men and women, like the gender war. Right. There's been happening. It's like the gender war that's going on. And it's like nobody's coming to a resolution. Right. And
let's do that. Let's do that on this podcast right now. Like, let's try to come, because I don't like to do, and we're not going to come up with the full thing, but to have a conversation about what it looks like moving forward. I think that as Black Americans, we're in a super interesting position to where we get to like create a culture. Yeah. A lot of people were born into one, and we were born into a culture, but we get to really put a stamp on it. And so we get to say, okay, well, that worked. Let's take that. That didn't work. Let's take that out. That works. Let's keep this in. Okay, we see them doing that over there. Let's pull that in. Okay, they did that. That works. All right, let's do that. So I would like to at least give the people some solutions, because we talked about like what is going wrong. But what are maybe some solutions you found for self-discipline? And then I can go through, because I think everyone needs self-mastery, but self-discipline, I think to a man is like what water is to a fish. Like it is. There's no way around it. And then one thing I've also heard is, and I think it's so true, is like when men are in their purpose, they become very dangerous. Very, 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 very dangerous.
Purpose is real. I'll talk about that, and I want to talk about it from what men would want. I want you to talk about what women would want. Okay. Yeah. So with that, start with purpose and discipline. It's very serious for a man, because it's how we hardwired. We hardwired to conquer, protect, provide, and things like that. So when we're not doing that, we feel crushed. Even if you can take a guy. He come from prison or out of jail, something he don't no job, and even if he can get a job at McDonald's, make $10 an hour, to him to see some money coming in, to have his own money, he's gonna feel inspired. He probably don't want to work at McDonald's, but I always tell any young man to get some type of job, because you want to. The point is not necessarily the job, but to see the work of your own hands. You producing something. It's going to build and build and build, because you're going to get unsatisfied at that job. You're like, you know what? I don't want to work here. I got to get more money. What can I do next? So that's going to inspire you, the man inside, to okay, I'm tired of this job. Let me put this money to the side and build this. You're gonna keep going up and up and up. So is a man has to see the work of his hands. So a lot of times, men don't see that within themselves sometimes. So that's like production, self-discipline, but you have to be disciplined to do it. You have to sit down, have some quiet time yourself. Okay, where am I going? Right. What am I trying to do? I think some things that women should understand about men, just kind of who men are, what they like to do, how they hardwired, something they like, something they don't like. I think men do require a certain thing, but at the same time, the things that they require, they have to be, so to speak. I look online sometimes, and maybe it's just online thing. When I see men talk about the things that they want and they need from a woman, they're always shamed for it. And it's sad because...
Like what? Help the people.
Okay, sometimes men like, and I ain't talking about like no toxic stuff, just men like, I want a woman to cook, clean, I want her to do this, I want her to have my children, I want her to support me, I want her to do this and that. And when they say stuff like that, or when they say something like submissive, you get this big backlash. And I'm talking about men of just substance. I like to say men of substance. Right. Substance. Like, who really trying to do something, trying to go somewhere. Not men just, I need all the women, baby. Not that. I need this chick, that chick. Some men who really trying to do something. Excuse me.
Right.
And it's sad because they, you know what I'm saying? And they can't really express what they would like in a woman. It don't matter what they say. They just like, oh, you're a man, be quiet, just be happy that you have a woman. And that's unacceptable because it just is. And one last point about that, I like to use the framework of like paying for stuff, right? I think most men don't mind paying. If you kind of look on men don't mind like splurging on the woman and this and that, right? I think what it is that when it comes to money and finances, men want to be respected for their money.
Right. Right.
Like, for example, I read an article. I forgot that it's a black millionaire. I forgot his name. I got to find it. But he was talking about, he's married now. Beautiful family. But he was talking about when he was dating and how he went on so many dates and women just expected him.
Right.
Like, oh, you got it. You pay for it. Boom, boom, boom. He didn't like that because it's like they didn't respect who he was. They just automatically felt entitled because he's a man. He got money. You owe me money. He said a woman that he loved, she appreciated him paying for stuff. She's like, you know what? I appreciate you paying for this. I know you didn't have to. I appreciate you paying for this dinner. I appreciate you taking me. I appreciate you for doing this. And he saw in her that she saw the real man in him. That it wasn't necessarily about his money, but he wanted to be appreciative for who he was as a man. Yeah, he could provide, but if a man can be a billionaire, if a person don't feel appreciated, who gonna want to do it? For prime example, if you're a woman, you like to cook. Do you want to keep cooking for a man who don't appreciate your cooking? You know what I'm saying? Like, you cook this again? You know what I'm saying? How long that's gonna last?
Chicken every Tuesday.
You can be the best chef on earth, but how long is gonna how long you gonna cook for somebody who don't appreciate it?
Yeah.
That's the main point. It's just like I think men want to be appreciated and supported by the woman. And I'll hand it off to you. What's some things that women want?
So that was big. Okay, appreciated and supported. I gotta put that in my head, noted. So women are like you have. We are a little complicated because I even talk to some women and I'm like, wait, what? That's not what you said you wanted. So why would you expect him to know that? I know that safety for me is huge. And for most women, hold on, can you stop right there? I've been hearing that so much lately. Safety.
And it's convicting.
Yes.
So tough.
Keep me safe, baby. That's like, if I'm with a man I don't feel safe, I can't be with you. But also, I don't think that a man would make me feel unsafe. And so I also want to clarify, like my dad used to always say, or my dad always says, there's a difference between a man and a little boy. So you can be a little boy and you can be 50. So when we say men, and then you use that cuss word submission, a lot of people think it's a cuss word.
What did I say?
That it's not to a little boy. And you also don't submit to a random man off the street.
Facts.
And I love R.C. Blake's. He said that it says, wives, submit to your husbands, Not girlfriend submit to your boyfriend.
Okay, talk about it.
Not woman off the street submit to the man you met at the club. Not living roommates submit to husbands.
There it is right there.
And then the part that people don't like to say, and I may mess this up, so help me out. Wives submit to your husbands as your husband has submitted himself to the Lord.
Going back to discipline.
So really, honestly, truthfully, you are in submission to God, right? Your husband is just in leadership position. When I love working with kids. Kids are absolutely amazing. Kids are technically submitted to me when they're with me. Mm-hmm. However, they're not really submitted to me because I'm submitted to God. I literally am like, Holy Spirit, give me peace and patience to speak to this child. And so I don't speak to the child. I let God speak to the child because I'm like, I want to hurt you. But God wants you to learn a lesson.
Yeah, that's real, man.
So the child is not even really submitted to me.
Mm-hmm.
The child is submitted to the authority of God. And I don't think there are a lot of women who have experienced what that is like.
Yeah, that's real.
So it's not, once again, it's not girlfriends submit or girlfriends submit to that man who dicking you down. It is wives.
Okay, talk about it.
Submit to your husbands as they have submitted themselves to God. So you aren't really submitting yourself to a man or a husband, let's be clear.
Mm-hmm.
You're submitting yourself to God.
Basically.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
And he is doing his very best, right? Which means he needs quiet time. He needs prayer. He needs discipline. He needs community. There's so many things you need as a leader. Like being a leader is not just like the funnest job in the world. So there's so many different things he needs. And God didn't say, kiss the ground the man walks on. That's not what he said. And if you choose well enough, you'll want to do nothing but submit to your husband. Like I talk about this man all the time. I'll never say his name. He wasn't my husband. He was my boy. He was my no. He knows who he is.
If you see him, point him out.
Okay, point him out. So I felt like I was like, what's happening? Why am I leaning back? Why am I letting this man make all the decisions? Because he was so in alignment with God. We was a little out of alignment because we was wasn't doing everything we were supposed to be doing right. But he was doing his best to be in alignment with God that I felt so safe with him.
Yeah.
And we haven't spoken in years. To this day, I feel like I could pick up the phone and not feel, I know, I could pick up the phone, call him, and be like, I need this, this, that, and that.
That's powerful, man.
And it wouldn't be a question. It wouldn't.
Yeah.
So
that's powerful.
And then that's also why you choose a man you respect and honor. Because who wouldn't want to follow if Oprah was like, submit your business to me.
Boom.
Girl, I'm not arguing with you.
Here you go.
Here you go, love.
Yeah, right. That's a good point.
Here you go. That's why you choose a man that you honor and respect. I'm not saying don't submit to men who hit you. Don't submit to men who little boys who verbally abuse you. Don't submit to men who use you for your little boys who use you for your body. But to a man who is your husband, it'll come naturally.
I agree with that. I agree with that 1,000%. And so what I'm hearing in that, everybody has a responsibility.
Everybody has responsibilities.
I was listening at 19 Keys and Queen Afua.
Mm-hmm.
I may be saying her name wrong.
It's right.
Okay, Queen Afua. And they got a video out there talking about the power of femininity,
right,
and masculinity and stuff like that. But they put a heavy focus on femininity. And one point, I think I reposted this. He said women are the key, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then she was like, we are the key. And I think he assumed that she was saying like we women are the key, but she was saying we collectively, men and women, are the key. Because she was saying how powerful. She's saying that the femininity or the feminine can also protect. Right. She was saying that sometimes the feminine woman, she may see, don't go there, don't do this,
right,
don't make that phone call, back up. Maybe she stay home today. She protecting him just as much as the masculine can go out there and just beat somebody over the head and protecting the family.
Right.
She's also protecting with her intuition and her wisdom. So she was saying how these things shouldn't be in
opposition.
In opposition. Thank you. But they should be in agreement because the feminine and the masculine is powerful. They're just powerful in different ways. But a lot of times when people say feminine, they automatically think weak.
Not at all.
And it's not weak at all. That's why I like what stuff you're talking about because the power of femininity and it's used properly. And I do think women got to understand the power of femininity more. I think men got to understand the power of masculinity more because masculinity is not standing on the mountaintop beating your chest.
Right.
Sometimes it shows up in that way. Sometimes just because we have a lot of testosterone when we want to get out there, but it's a lot of ways, like you said about the guy, showing up and stuff like that, And I think it is very powerful how you said that, and that tells me that as guys, as men, we have a lot of work to do. And one thing that makes guys nervous, right? Mm-hmm. Sometimes we know deep down inside, just if we want a family, we know we got to be the leader, the protector, the provider. Sometimes that can be a lot of pressure for men, Look, man, I want a family, I want a wife, I want all this and that, but I got to do this and I got to do that. If I don't get it, if I fail, am I a man? And it can be hard for a man. And sometimes this is why men take a long time with marriage and stuff.
Yeah.
Because they may feel who they are on the inside, but they don't have everything in place. And it just be like, oh, man. It does bother them. And men, they do want to talk about this sometimes. They can't, because if you start saying, I don't have it, a lot of times they get you weak, you're not enough, fingers pointed at them. And another point with that, I said this on my videos one time before, one of my best friends, he got married years ago, right? And his now wife, the fellas, we didn't know her like that, and she was very different from all the other women he brought around. Nice young lady, and he married her. And so I was like, I almost called his name.
Don't do that.
I was like, man, I talked to him. I said, man, tell me about,
homegirl.
What made you choose your wife, man? Because he was totally happy. It was a different him.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? He was like, you know what, man? Because they were dating. I think they may have had a son at that time before they was married, and he was working this dead-end job he didn't like. It was killing him day after day. And he was talking to me before. He was like, John, man, I don't know. I gotta leave this job, man, but I don't know how my girl gonna take it. I was just walking with him.
I remember this one.
You know what I'm saying? And then he was just like, but then he was like, one day, man, I just went home and told her. He's like, I know she's gonna kick me out. He's like, cause he's gonna tell her that I'm leaving this job. I don't know what I'm gonna do, but I can't go another day. For my mental, I just can't do it. And he thought for sure she's gonna kick him out. Oh, you ain't this, you ain't that. And he was like, she said that, baby, I support you. You know you need a job, but I see that you can't take this job. I know you're a man. I know the man that you are. I know you will find something else. I will even help you find something else. I know you are leaders for this family. We're gonna be all right. He said right then and there he knew he was gonna marry her. I was like, he was just like, we both was just like, yeah. We was like,
running around the room.
And that's so important for a man to feel that from a woman. Like that's what I mean by support. Because sometimes you have to make decisions as a man. Sometimes you can't do it. And, if a woman loves you and she knows you, she knows the man you are inside because a job doesn't define you, but a lot of men fear that they got to have this, got to have that in order. And they do have to have certain things, but their decisions and the things that they make a mistake. Where are you if I fail? That's important to a man. That's the support I'm talking about. I can't be all things all the time. If I get it wrong, who are you if I get it wrong? Who are you when I fail? Who are you when my money runs out? Who are you at these critical points in my life? And the last point about that is it's going to be very controversial.
Okay.
I heard this somewhere. You know what I'm saying? It's
watch your mouth.
You know what I'm saying? And I don't know how it's going to go. You know what I'm saying? And I don't know. But
I'm nervous for you.
Okay. I start like this. Men want peace. Everybody want peace.
Right.
But peace is very important for men.
Right.
And a lot of times, if a man not getting peace at home, he tend to find it in the arms of another woman.
Dun, dun, dun.
So I'm not condoning. I'm not saying it's right. I'm not saying it's right. It usually happens like that because sometimes you'll see a man may date, let's say, a girl from McDonald's. I'm just using McDonald's as a placeholder. A girl from McDonald's over a woman that got 2 or 3 degrees who's very successful.
Right.
In that, it's about peace. It's not necessarily about what she has. It's about what she gives him, how she makes him feel. Yeah. Men all about how they make you feel, you know. And that's, I think a lot of women miss that about men. How do you treat them? How do you make them feel? How do you support them? Because at the end of the day, that's what we look at. We view, okay, if I get married, will she respect me? How will my family be? You know, can I diss my kids in front of her? Will she undermine me in front of my children? Because you don't want to have to, as a man, you don't have to raise up and go over her in front of the kids. Now you're looking abusive. Right. Now you're looking like, why daddy yelling at mama? Right. You know, you don't want to do that. You want to be respected and things like that. But it also goes to what you were saying. Once you have these things in place, she will automatically come. You know, but it's a lot. But I think there's a very strong point about a lot of people miss that about men, about the peace thing. Because women be like, we want peace too. Yeah, we all want peace. Because I know some men who bring women some drama. You know what I'm saying? I know it, but you know, I don't want that. I don't want that piece to be overlooked because a lot of women, I see a lot of conversation in women talk about just men in general. Like I say on the channel, I just try to give a male perspective. Yeah. That's just what we thinking. I don't got all the answers. I don't know everything, so I give things that I've seen, and I talk about. I got a lot of friends, a lot of married friends, and they be listening to me with game. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, what you think about that?
So I want to go back to one of the first things you said is that some men feel like, who do I talk to and who do I turn to?
Ooh, yes.
So this is one of the many reasons, right? Sex is women's superpower, is because we are supposed to approve of men. We are the gatekeepers of the future. So look in the camera.
That's real.
Women are the gatekeepers of the future, and we have to approve of men, right? Not to say you can't do this, but to say, in order for you to move forward, for your bloodline and your legacy to move forward, this is what we need, right? The earth needs to be safe. Our children need to be safe.
Talk about it.
Our communities need to be safe, right? We need running water for this part of the world, right? We are, in a very real way, like bouncers at the club. Like, I need to see the ID. I need to see, because once you get in the club, you in the club, right? Like, we can put you out, but you've been there. You got the sauce. You took the pictures. You got what you needed. So that is why it's really important for us to be under control, because I believe that women are just huge inspirations for men. But we have to, first of all, we have to control that first. So who are we inspiring? Who are we letting into our energy fields? That's very important. All men don't deserve to be in the energy fields of little boys don't deserve to be in the energy fields of women, right? Yeah. Little boys and little girls, go play, go get your, go get your city girl, city boy points.
City boys up, man.
Right? About 3,000. About 3,000 out.
Yeah, baby. Playoffs, baby.
I don't participate, okay? But that is so childish. Like, it's funny, but it's childish, right? So let the city boys and the city girls play together. Yeah, let the city boys and the city boys and the city girls play on the playground, and the men and the women will build community.
Yeah, I like that. Yeah.
Right? Like, that's ridiculous. Honestly, it blows my mind that these are people are looking up to. Like, it terrifies me at night. It really does.
It's funny, man. It's
but
right,
we have to approve of men, and it is not so we can bash him. It is not so we can say you're not good enough, but these are the requirements. You need to meet them. Yeah. And almost every species, yes, there are different species, okay? Look, but it's billions of them. And the ones that we have studied so far, most of them, the woman approves of the male before he can mate with them.
That's real.
Right? So the lion has to have some type of territory.
Mm-hmm.
Has to. Like, that's not a maybe. It's a has to.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And then the bird, right? The bird has to have some type of nest. And then come look at my nest. Come look at this nest. Look what I did for you, girl. Like, right? And that is not, and if he makes a bad nest, he'll just make another nest, and then maybe he'll make next year. But it's like, in order to continue your genes, it needs to be like the best possible, right? So that's why we have to be like you can't, no, sir. Like, you have to do better. And so I said that to say, once we approve of the right man, then he'll stay with his family. And then we don't have this problem of men don't know where to go, right? Because there'll be a granddaddy sitting outside of a garage waiting for you to pull up, right? Already been through what you've been through, just waiting for you to ask for help.
Yeah.
Or already giving you that wisdom, or a dad who you can call, or a coach who you can call, or whoever, right? The businessman you know in your community who you can call, to where it doesn't feel like I gotta do this on my own. Like I gotta invent the wheel.
Man, that's
not the earring.
What's the podcast? Oh my God.
Yeah.
Because we fell off. Oh my God.
I was like, thank God it's not a wig today.
You know what I'm saying? That's funny, man. Things happen. But yeah, I think that's a great point of approving. I like the way you put it. And that's the way you put it, that's very healing and healthy. Right? For a man to hear that, I can get with that.
Right.
It's very different from, you need to do this, you need to get that. You can't hear that. You can't feel that, because now that's going to create an argumentative energy from me. Mm-hmm. But if you say, hey, brother, this is what needs to happen.
Right.
You got to approve. You got to get here. Most men can accept that, because we know that anyway.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Men are so smart. I just hate when people treat men like dumb little babies. Like they don't know what, like, oh, he don't know. He just trying to get it together. It's like, no, he just is choosing not to. Like, he knows he's supposed.
Yeah, and it's important that men. Cause I talk to men all the time, especially young guys, and it's important that we, iron sharpens iron.
Right.
We talk, kind of figuratively speaking, rite of passage, go in the jungle, fight some stuff, you know what I'm saying, kill some bears, I'm figuratively speaking, but right. Just rite of passage to manhood. That's important, because we missing that a lot. I talk to, I do a lot of counseling and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. Young brother called me one day, and I think he was 21 or 22, and he was talking about how, he had all these sex with women, mm-hmm. and he was just like dogging women out, but he felt bad about it. He's like, man, I want to change. I don't know how to change. It's what I've been doing. It's what has been modeled to me. But deep down inside, I know it's wrong, and I'm trying to stop. But I'm hurting women. I'm hurting myself, and I'm just destroying stuff. And he genuinely didn't know how to stop, And I was just telling him, just one thing at a time. The first step is talking to somebody. He was talking to me. Mm-hmm. I like, that's the first step. Talking to, because I was older guy. Just talking to somebody to try to help get them things out of his system, out of his mind, first of all, to verbalize it. Because he felt like he couldn't talk to nobody. All he could do was just keep doing what he was doing. Mm-hmm. Seeing the videos of what a man supposed to be, you got to have all these women, you got to have this, you got to have that. And that was feeding into him, mm-hmm. But eventually, he came to a resolution with himself. He kind of stopped doing some of those things. He started to write out plans that he wanted to see for himself, places he wanted to go, reason why this behavior is bad and stuff like that, because he was feeding into that primal nature. And like I said early on, most young boys, we have all this energy, and you can take any child, boy or girl, and they don't have guidance. They'll do anything what they think is right. Mm-hmm. That's why you have to train them to try in the way you should go. Mm-hmm. Come on, somebody, amen. Train them to try in the way you should go. He won't depart from you. When I was a child, I thought as a child, I spoke as a child. When I became a man, I put away childish things. And he was trying to put away childish things, but he didn't have nobody to help him.
Right.
So we do have a responsibility as men to reach back and help each other, because it's very important. There's so many young guys out there that need it, because I talk to them all the time. Yeah. They willing and ready. They really are. Most of them. Sometimes you can't say everybody, but I'm okay with that. But right. It's a lot of them. They got raw talent, raw energy, raw feelings. Nobody has said, "Hey, don't do that, man. Do this." Mm-hmm. And a lot of times, that's all it takes.
That's all it takes. Yeah. That's all it takes. But that's from like a man perspective, and so I want to go back to more of a woman perspective. Is I heard somebody say there's a difference between power and force, and it kind of seems like that's what Queen of Food was talking about. Mm-hmm. Like the feminine is power and the masculine is force. Yeah. So if you Black Panther 2, when those little things came out the water and they were like, oh yeah, right, and everybody just started dropping off the boat. They did nothing, right? They just opened their mouth. That was it. That's power. Force is, this is Sparta, right? Gather all the troops, get the horses down. And the chariots. We fighting to the death. When it's just like that's it. Mm-hmm. That's the difference between power and force. And so I'm like, oh, warning. There's a difference between, you know what, you don't have a job. You just need to get a job. I'm sitting tired of here looking at you, and you in my house and you eat my food. And first of all, don't let a little boy stay in your house, okay? But let's just say we in dysfunction. And I'm sick of you being in my house, and I'm sick of you eating all my food, and you and your friends ain't got no job, and I'm sick of you. I'm saying some cuss words, all this kind of stuff. It's a difference between that and, wow, I remember when you was writing that business. Did you do that yet? Oh, I just love when you have your events. I was telling somebody the other day about you, and they were saying, yeah, you should bring him through. And I was like, yeah, my man's an entrepreneur. You know, he's starting to do really big things. So I'm not telling you to do anything. I'm inspiring you, right? I may put a Black Enterprise magazine in your bag. I may tell you or just send you a YouTube video, right? Or I may say, oh my gosh, there's this conference. I was at the Cobb Galleria, and there's this conference, and I was like, oh my God, my man could run that conference. They did that so bad. What?
Yo, that's real.
You want me to, you said, what? Huh? I'm going to call the Cobb. Get the Cobb on the phone.
Point of reference before I forget it. That's powerful. And something you said earlier about how women can inspire men. I say this all the time. A woman can inspire men to run the world. This is so true. I'm telling you, you can take, I get this example all the time. You can take a guy who just say he's a sex symbol, or somebody who real power everybody like. Let's say, what's Sierra's husband name?
Russell.
Let's say Russell Wilson. You know, a lot of women give him a lot of praise. If every woman in the world give Russell Wilson praise, and Sierra says, you know what, you can't do it. I don't believe in you. That will crush him, because that's the woman he loves.
Yeah.
This is how real it is to him. This is how powerful a woman's words is to a man, especially the woman that he loves. You know, because Sierra is the apple of his eye. And she be like, you know, you can't do it. You will never be what you was or what you were. You know, and all the other ones could be saying you this and that. He'll have low self-esteem. On the flip side, you know, if every woman is, what I said, if everyone give him praise.
Right, every woman give him praise, but Sierra doesn't.
Yeah. And so if she does give him praise and every woman downs him, it's still powerful. Mm-hmm. Because every woman in the world is like, oh, Russell, you trash, you this, you that. How can you leave, da, 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 da. And she be like, baby, I'm behind you.
Right.
I got you. We're going to do this. I believe in you. It does not matter what they say. And this is how important, you know, a woman's word is to a man. I'm telling you, it's so important. Especially if that man sees you, the woman he loves, you can really make or break him.
Right.
Like the man will build a house literally as best he can for the woman he loves.
My great uncle just passed away this past August or September. He was 102. And we were after the funeral, we all gathered at the house he built by his bare hand. No, he built another house. He built both houses, but the first one he built his bare hands for his wife. Like just, man. And this is before power tools. My man was 100, okay? So this man is hammering. I don't even know where they got him.
Get out the way.
Okay. For his wife, and they said that when she passed before him, he couldn't stay there. Because that was like his homage to his wife. Yeah. The Taj Mahal is an homage to a woman. So she inspired him so much that we go see, she dead and gone. I think that lady been gone for like 300, 400 years, the woman who inspired the Taj Mahal. But her husband built that for her. He was like, oh my God. Yeah. Come here, where the builders at? It was like, I need to make this for you. I need to show you how much you inspire me. We don't have to. So I don't believe in putting men down, first of all, because it's dangerous, right? Like if you do that, the consequences can be dangerous, and not you personally, but like to his ego, to his self-esteem, and then the choices that he makes after that to compensate for that. We get a lot of violence, gangs, stuff like that. You know what I mean? There's a very unhealthy way that can swing. So I try not to ever put a man down. I'll say no, thank you. But I try very hard, right? And I'll be very clear about it. But I try not to put him down and tell him he can't. Like even men who approach me who I don't like, I'll say, you know, there was this guy. He was probably like 23, and I don't really know. Not really my cup of tea. Just because I deal with a different caliber of men, so just the way he approached me, I was like, baby. As in, like, little B. As in, like, crawling on the floor. Like, baby, yeah. I was like, baby. Like, I was like, oh, honey. Like, no. But I told him, I said, I really appreciate, you know, that you had the courage to come up to me. And he had, like, just graduated college.
You feeling me like that?
Right? So, he, baby, hold on. You know, he was like, you can come sleep in my twin bed. I'm like, okay. But I said, I really appreciate you for coming. I said, you know, for coming up to me. And I was like, Atlanta is a great city, and I think you'll do really well. Right? It wasn't, you thought I was feeling you?
It's real, yo.
Because he could be the next person to shoot up a convenience store or, you know, to do a drive-by because he feels like there's no hope.
That happens.
Because he feels like there's no hope. But, like, I was like, you know, not me, but somebody else, and you'll do great.
Yeah. That's healing, man.
Right? Healing because, like, he's also a part of my community. What if one day he is my son's basketball coach? We don't think, that's another thing women have to think about is, like, community matters. We all have to think about it. But I think in women's choices of how they procreate, we don't just procreate with a man and then our children are affected, period. Absolutely not. I've taught, I'm not going to say the school system. I've taught in school systems where I was like, oh my God. I saw one dad. I had about 80 kids. All my classes combined. I saw one dad my whole time there. And the children were off the chain. Oh, when I say off the chain, I said I've never been called out of my name until a 12-year-old called me out my name. Man. Multiple times. Oh, man. I've never had things thrown at me until that. Yeah. So off the chain. And that's how fathers are very, very extremely important. But for women to think about, how is this going to impact my community? If I make a child with a man who doesn't take care of the child, how are we impacting everybody? Because it matters, right? Because of those sexual choices those women made, teachers are burned out.
They didn't want to hear that, man, but that's the truth.
And it's not just a woman thing. You're speaking more to the men. I'm speaking more to the women. Mm-hmm. There is most
balance,
right? There's most definitely be okay with this. There's most definitely a leadership deficit when it comes to Black men, right? And there's most definitely a deficit when it comes to women. So we have work. Yeah. I'm speaking of the work women need to do in the sexual realm, in their bodies, and it's so spiritual too. It's not just sex, right? It's all the things that come with it. So as the gatekeepers to the future, we have to think about, how is this going to impact the community, right? If you don't procreate with a man who's financially literate, is your community going to be financially literate? If you don't procreate with a man who is safe, is your community going to be safe? Man, like,
that's a different level of thinking about it.
It's huge. You really have to think about all the implications that come with that.
Yo, that's big, because that's a beautiful thing you said, because that's a duty and a responsibility,
right,
of self,
right, that God gave us, that He bestowed to women. That's our power.
Like, community, how is it impacting our community? If I do this, if this happens, yeah.
So really, major key. Let me look in the camera. Really, most people know this. Most men know this too. Mm-hmm. Of like, even if a man is the leader of the household, you ask him who really leads the household. Mm-hmm. Look at that smile, because you already know it's the woman, right? Yeah. But if we as women do such a good job of attracting and approving, why do I care what if it's, if we live out south or out east, you'll make the best decision. Why do I care if they go to this school or that school? You'll make the best decision. Why do I care if you want to change career paths? I already know that you have self-discipline and you're intelligent and you will make it. So I'm not worried. If they took, who does everybody know? If they took Jeff Bezos all his money today, do you think Jeff Bezos would work at McDonald's, or will he just get his money back? Right? It's not the money, it's the character.
Yeah.
It's the skills that he acquired. It's the knowledge that he has. So, okay. All right.
Man, it's real.
Right? But I approved of him first. Don't just let, my God, don't just let people out here, oh, he can do whatever. No, you have to approve of him first. Yep. But once you approve, let him run wild.
Yes. It's that saying, and I might be saying it wrong. I think it says, it's old school saying, it is she who chooses the man who then chooses her. Or something like that.
I don't know. I've never heard of that.
You never heard that? It said, it is she who chooses the man who then chooses her.
Right.
So,
yeah. We choose y'all way before you choose us.
Yeah, I like
way
that saying.
Before.
I like that saying. Like, okay, I choose you. Now you gotta choose me.
Right.
It's like basically, basing it off of approval. And lastly, I am aware of the time. Is one of my chaplain brothers like to say. The last part of this, just very briefly, you talk about zodiacs and stuff like that. So I like that part. Y'all know I'm a Virgo.
Hey, Cancer.
You know what I'm saying? It's Corinne. It's a Cancer. And we know that Cancers have a lot of love in their heart.
We do.
You know what I'm saying? They have big hearts. Y'all cry a lot.
We do.
Okay. Y'all have a lot going on. In my videos, I talk about like Virgos and Cancers and stuff like that. I talk about everybody.
Right.
But I talk about how well they get along.
It didn't go well for me.
Why not?
Ooh. How much time do we have?
We got a little time. You want to do some of your own stuff.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, that didn't go.
First of all, are you aware of the characteristics of Cancer?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Yes, 100%. We're water, so that's our element is water. So we're very fluid. We like to move. We like to be by water, but like water is also like we flow. Mm-hmm. That's our thing. We get to flow.
Yeah. Have you ever dealt with a Virgo?
I have.
Oh man,
God bless my soul.
What's
crazy is this man, and let me tell you the power of taking back your sexual power, because we were sexually active and I was in love with this man, right? So, and then I, hadn't talked for a while, and I told him, I said, because I only deal with serious men. So like, that's another reason why I can't say men are terrible. I only deal with a certain type of man now. Yeah. Like, I'm very clear about it. So if you don't step to me a certain way, like you in the most open heart way possible, I'm going to be clear that this is not your path. you won't make it on this one, baby. You're not getting in this one. This is I'm very clear. Have you ever seen, like, there's some neighborhoods that have a small little sign that says don't turn around, keep out. Yeah. That's not me. I'm the gated community. So there's no little sign that you can miss. You have to have a name and you have to have a purpose, right? Hey, so real. When you go to a gated homes that are gated, there's a security guard and they're going to say, who are you here to see? Yes. Or you already have an access pass, right? You've already been approved. So I don't date or mess with certain men. So I avoid a lot of the things, and that's what I try to help women with, is I avoid a lot of that. So we were sexually active, and then we stopped being sexually active, hadn't talked in a while, and then he just would randomly hit me up. And then one day I told him, you were there. I was outside of Jelani's wedding, and I was like, we really go back, y'all. We be spending holidays together. Yeah, for real. It's crazy. So I was at Jelani's wedding, and my heart was beating, and I was like, how do I tell this person who I love, and I think he's a beautiful man, and I think that he's going to grow into an amazing man, right? Just not what I'm looking for now. And so
that's your cousin, Jelani's cousin,
right? So Jelani, yes, but the man who I'm talking about, I was in the car. So I was at Jelani's wedding, and I was like, okay, what are my desires? And I think women is like, full body desire. Like when I close my eyes and like drop out of my head and go to my heart and then like womb and just like all over, like, what do I desire? And it's family. And it's like touch from like a small baby and my husband. Like those are the things that I desire. And so I was like, okay, well, it's really time to stop playing. So outside of Jelani's wedding, I was so nervous, but I had to call him back. And I told him, I said, do not contact me unless you are serious. Because
this is the Virgo?
This is the Virgo, right?
Man, you know, I was like that. Man.
Right? And he was like playing the game. He was like,
hold up, let me
right?
Down.
No, he didn't. And that's when I was like, okay, yeah, so we're not. He thought I was kidding. So that was, how long ago was Jelani's wedding? Like
at least
2 years, a year and a half?
About a year and a half at least.
So he randomly called me and I said, text me and called me. I said, did you mean to call me? He said, yes. Okay. So, and then I called him back. I said, oh, wow. So you got to know, in my head at this stage I'm at, I'm like, wow, this man is either about to like take me out and tell me, girl, I'm proposing, or it's about to be a real serious conversation. He goes, hey. I'm like, hey. And he would, hey. And so maybe tell me that, you can tell me the Virgo perspective, because I'm about to tell you the Cancerian and the like serious woman Cancerian in me. He was like, hey. I was like, hey, what's up? He was like, oh, nothing. He was like, oh, nothing. I just miss hearing your voice. I said, are you serious? He said, yeah. I said, oh my God. I said, I'm not sure if I was clear last time, but I was like, let me be crystal clear. We don't do this anymore. And he was like, and I called my friend after. It was a 1-minute phone call. I just needed him to know. I said, we don't do this. And this is a man who I love.
That's a lot, man.
I love him. And I'm like closing my eyes because I may cry. I love him. But for what I desire in a husband, he is not it. And so for my mental, spiritual, emotional well-being, you got to keep it at a minute. Should have been less. And tell him, we don't do this anymore. And I did not extend the offer to call me if he was serious, because that was my last offer. Yeah. No more offers are on the table. But that's the power of being able to see clearly and hear your intuition clearly when you're not, busting it wide open. When you're not, you don't get your back blown out. Like, that's a whole nother energy, right? Like, you need clarity. And I say that because I want people to know, yes, I've had sex, and yes, it was amazing and it was wonderful. And I'm a better woman because I'm not.
Nah, that's real, man. That's powerful, man. I like his stuff.
So what's the Virgo side? Because the Cancer in me was like, how dare you call me and not send like 1,000 roses to my house? Yeah. I wanted to cry, but then I kept it G. Because I was like, cry over what, girl? Yeah,
Cancer. I did some Cancers. I know Cancer's pretty.
So the Virgo side, what does the Virgo in you say?
Virgo in me say, I'm just basing off solely what you telling me. And it's one of our Virgos. One, I don't think he may not have thought you was as serious as you were.
Dead.
Because from what I experienced in Cancers, y'all are very emotional. So he may have thought that you just in your emotions in the moment. Like she emotional in the moment. She'll be all right.
She outside a wedding.
Yeah, she outside a wedding. She seen all the roses and flowers and pomps and circumstances. So she'll be all right. He knew it meant something to you, but he probably didn't think it was to that level. So he probably was like, I'm back off. And, he hit you up. And I think the reason he hit you up, because like you said, he did miss you hearing your voice. Because one thing about Cancers, they are very loving. And Cancers have a showering love.
We do.
And it's very warm. It's hard to detach from.
We do. But the thing about Cancers is, once you out. You out.
I know. And that's and that's the thing, man.
Yes.
Because I say on the channel all the time, I say Cancers, and in just my opinion, I feel like Cancers and Capricorns are like the best match for Virgos. Cancers, because they have the love that they have. Like, it's a very strong love that Virgos need, because Virgos, they deal with a lot of anxiety, depression, all kind of stuff. And Cancers, they just had ability to love past all of that stuff and really get to the heart of them. So he missed your voice because that was being taken away.
I don't care why that man missed my voice.
You know what I'm saying?
That's his problem.
I know, but it's saying he missed your voice, but he not doing what you say he do. He not stepping up. So that's the one thing too. Virgos love companionship. You know, and sometimes it can be companionship without commitment. You know, it's real. And we love companionship. We love friendship. I got a lot of friends. We love companionship. We love friendship. We love love, stuff like that. You know, so but we can be a little hesitant about commitment sometimes because we overthinkers, right? We think about, is this the right thing? What I'm gonna do? Da da da. We are some super overthinkers, and we just want to make imperfections in our mind. So we want to make sure it's the absolute right decision. We measure twice, cut once type of thing. I don't know if I said it right.
Yeah,
that's what was going on with him. I just me thinking he probably was just like contemplating in his mind, but at the same time, he missing your energy, and you shocked him with it. You be like, man. And at the point you presented it to him, he wasn't ready to step up. He wasn't ready to make that decision,
right?
Because it was too much.
I didn't ask him to. I didn't. But here's the thing: I did not ask him to. I said, if you call me, it needs to be serious.
That's real.
I didn't say you need to get serious. I didn't I think that's another thing that women, we waste so much energy and so much time trying to. Men don't really understand words. That's not, y'all don't speak in words. You speak very much in act. See, he heard me and he thought I was being emotional. Yeah.
This shit weird now.
Right? Mm-hmm. And I'm sure that my actions of that last phone call I really do not mean to speak to him. I wish him well. I love him. I'll probably speak to him if I see him on the street. Not probably. I will. Hey, how are you? Keep it pushing. But men don't speak words, right? I'm the best thing you ever find. They don't speak that, right? Men are doers. Men are action oriented. We speak like 70,000 more words than y'all a day, which is crazy. But it's true. That's why men are able to. Hey, girl,
it was a girl.
Like, damn, you bad. Oh, you fine, right? And we hear that. Yeah. You're the only one, I love you, right? But you see that man at 12 o'clock at night on a Saturday every other week, right? But you're the only one. But you're the only one, right? Come on now. But that's how we get messed up in a lot of things. Yeah. It's because we don't watch his actions. And I tell women all the time, let me look in the camera. I tell women all the time, you and men do not speak the same language. Watch that man's actions. You speak English. He speaks Cantonese.
Something else.
You don't even know what he's saying.
Thanks, man.
Actions. I don't listen to a word a man says. Absolutely. I don't. I listen as in receive, and if he needs something, understand and try to meet it. So, if he's like, oh, I don't like to be outside. I love to be outdoors. Oh, I don't like to be outside. I probably won't suggest we go outside. We go on a hike. I'll listen to that. But as far as I love you, the only one I want to marry you. Yeah, until the ring is on my finger, until I've met your mother, until my name is on the deed, until we went to premarital counseling, I don't speak I don't understand.
That's it, man. And there it is, man. That's real. You know what I'm saying? I think these things are very, very real and true. From my conversation today, I heard a lot of action, responsibility, selfness, you know what I'm saying? Getting over yourself, doing some things, some honest things, and I asked was to take these conversations seriously. Hopefully what we said today can help somebody. Yeah. Just take some things from, like I said, we're not gurus. It's just what we learned in life so far, and everybody has a testimony. Everybody has a story. What have you learned from your story? Right. What have you learned from your experience? What can you pass on to somebody else? And all that good stuff. Y'all know, like I said, I'm in ministry, ordained, chaplain, all that good stuff. And I talk to people all the time. And one thing I like about what I do is, I could talk to people just all different type of backgrounds because I try to be just real with them. Right. So I'm telling people come to me all type of situations, all type of stories. I'm like, what? But we talk real. They know ain't no judgment. Because look, I failed, I did this, I did that. But just hopefully everybody can take something from what we're saying today. I believe it'll help somebody. And I'll give you the last words. Anything you want to say to the people. Also, make sure you leave your Instagram, your YouTube, and all that social media stuff.
Okay, so handles are Corinne_is_love. That's CORINNE_is_love. And then the same thing on YouTube. And I have a book coming out. Yes, it's called Sex is Your Superpower. So if you want to learn a little bit more and get into I'm so excited.
Before you get last word, y'all please follow her, because I be listening to stuff like, yo, that's some real stuff. And you can learn a lot. I learn a lot just about what women think and feel and stuff like that. Cause y'all hear me talk about men all the time, but I actually have people I listen to that's women, because I have to learn, So, but she very good at just everything she's talking about, self-help, and things like that. But yeah, continue.
So thank you. The last thing I'm going to say is we listen to a lot of podcasts and shows, and most people have something. But what specifically to women and men, women a little bit more, is to be, right? To start to become and to start to embody these things. You can listen to something all day, but if you don't be it, like if you don't be it, you can't transform yourself. So do more than listen, right? Meditate, journal, pray, walk these things out instead of just listening, right, to us. Be it. For women, it's more being. For men, it's more doing. But instead of just listening, be it and feel it and try to embody it. So it is. That's the last word I have.
All right. Well, I appreciate you for coming through and doing this with your boy. We've been trying to do this for a minute. So, so we got to do some more of this and just conversation, all that good stuff. And we're going to follow your journey, and we're going to make it happen. So y'all stay with your boy, stay with your girl, and we're going to do that.